Thank you, Jolita. And we have already experienced a very fruitful cooperation with Lithuanian Science Council, and we really recommend to contact Jolita or other colleagues who are very helpful towards Horizon projects from Lithuania. Now, I would like to invite our outstanding guests from Finland, from VTT Technical Research Institute. Harri Pikko is a senior scientist and the boss of the whole Admiral project. And Ville Hinka is a research team leader and one of the main initiators this project to happen. Harri and Ville will share a presentation and will guide us to the Admiral project as a marketplace for sustainable solutions, low emissions, and advanced marketplace transportation, as well as how this project addresses CO2 emissions and Scope 3 issue.
Okay, hello everybody, and it's nice to be here. So I was here in this same place a year ago, and then my topic was systemic change, and now it's nice to be more pragmatic, that we have a large project which is in the core of this systemic change. So that's very fruitful to be a researcher, to have some contribution on this, and thank you very much for TIA arranging all these events. And as we saw in the main room presentations starting this morning, that the sustainability is coming from doors and windows, and of course one aspect now when we are talking about these scopes of emissions, then the presentations what we had in the keynotes were basically concerning scope 1 and 2. So, but if my crystal ball is accurate, I would say that maybe next year there will be scope 3 as well. So the question always is that if the transportation companies need to invest on all kinds of digital things and green and alternative fuels and stuff like this, so who's going to pay for this? And how do they gain the competitive advantage, the transportation company, if the client is not supporting this kind of thing? So there's many questions open. So I put here a few bullet points where we want to anchor this our project, that we are just not talking about projects comes and goes, but we want to talk really deeply that why we need this kind of project. And also the idea is that we are talking about the landscape which is not yet applicable. As we saw in the previous presentations, that there's lots of regulation coming, and this matter is quite untouched, to be honest. So we have to think that this is the environment, landscape, what is happening in, let's say, few years' time or 5 years' time, that these kind of things will be there. So some quotations here that in this systemic change, that it's also recognized in various forms that it's definitely a gap, that the scope 3 emissions are not considered, that the transportation companies, they are not getting competitive advantage for the cargo buyers, and the cargo buyers have different motives to consider the selection of their vendors. And of course, what we saw already in the earlier presentations, the scope 3 emissions can be significant, up to 90% of the total emissions of some company. And of course, not all transportation, but if you think about how the suppliers are connected with the buyers, so of course there are suppliers who are delivering the raw material and they are related to the product as such, while the transportation companies are service providers. And if we are pragmatic, that why would the industrial company pay for the transportation if it would not be needed? So unfortunately there's no teleportal, so they have to do it. And in a way it also tells that maybe they are not so interested to pay for it and then have the emissions also to be reported and so on. And this is findings from the DARPA Carbon Disclosure Project, reflecting what I just mentioned slightly differently, that it's very shallow, the engagement of these Scope 3 emissions. So, and it's one thing is to be aware of them, and another thing is to do something about it. And then the final thing is that if you could say that, are they willing to pay for it to get lower, or will it be more expensive? We don't know. So I just want to give some backing from this speech. So we made an inquiry for a master's thesis project, which was with the University of Oulu and VTT. We interviewed companies in Finland, and to get the status quo of this issue. And the first finding was that this is very delicate issue. That if you talk about stock companies and very big companies, and then the first question was that will it be public who has said this information, or will it be confidential? And that's also indicator that it's not, maybe you cannot really compare apples with apples openly, at least yet. So this what we made some kind of small visualization. So the first one tells pretty much the current state of transportation procurement, that it's of course the monetary euros, and then some operational aspects, that who delivers fastest and who has equipment and all these things. And then there might be some kind of reports then afterwards coming, but in these reports the problems are that they were not standardized. Every vendor had their different things, and most worryingly, these reports, they were not utilized in the procurement, so that you can have a year going on transportation, and then after 1 year somebody sends the reports and then it's filed somewhere. So this is the status quo even in Finland. But then we think about what the world looks like or should look like, at least when we think about this gap. So that's the desired state. So you have also the CO2s there and these things, and then you have the procurement should be aware of these CO2s, and the ones who can offer lower emission transportation, they should have competitive advantage for the ones who are sticking in the old ones. And then it should come in the reportings and so on. So there are these two layers, and the reporting, as we saw in earlier, it's the first step. And now we move towards the presentation of our project, and my colleague Ville will soon continue. So basically, what we are trying to do is make this gap also visible, that we have a marketplace that will offer or can offer these emissions as well, and it can do it in a reliable way, that really we can compare apples with apples and so on in the emissions, and also support the reporting. And this project includes standalone pilots, and it also includes this marketplace concept as a core function. And we are closely related to the EU regulation. That's our driving force. And also we have discussions with our FT colleagues in this room as well, that how we can maybe have collaboration together, that if the data sharing has to be done anyway, can we include also emissions there and all these questions, because it's like this twin transition, that green and digital, we have both coming at the same time. And that's why we wanted to also have a good coverage in Europe about different European countries, and also what we have already noticed that in many countries it's very different, the starting point to sustainability. So it's quite a challenge that how we can make coherent project results. So we of course need also all the end users to support us, and we need the end users' feedback to really engage to these topics, and that's in the core. So then my colleague will just continue from here. Thank you.
Okay. Hello everyone. Also from my behalf, I will tell more detail about Admiral Marketplace and pilots, which are the core of this project. But the purpose of the pilot is to test the solutions which are developed during Admiral project. And the purpose of these solutions is to improve operations and also save energy and decrease CO2 emissions. And the marketplace is a place where these solutions can be traded, and the solutions and the services that uses these solutions can be traded between buyers and sellers. And this marketplace, it has functionalities for cargo services, selling and buying, but it's also business and developer community portal, and it's multimodal network builder and monitoring services, and it fulfills workload engine and tool for executing purchased cargo services. And there are a full set of APIs and comprehensive documentation included as a part of this marketplace, and it also increases visibility into Scope 3 emissions in the logistics sector. And the main difference between this marketplace with the existing marketplace is that the main selection criteria between different logistics services is the emissions that using these services will produce. So the services are classified based on the emissions that they will produce. And this picture will tell about what kind of ecosystem this marketplace will form, what kind of actors, and what kind of actors this ecosystem will include. Of course, there are sellers and buyers are the most important actors in this ecosystem. And then there is marketplace operator. In this project, company called Awake.ai is developing this marketplace and operates it. And this company is a neutral operator. Then there are developers who are developing solutions to be traded in this marketplace, and where the sellers can use to sell their services. Then there are integrators who will combine different available services, so that when there are buyers who want to transport the shipments between the origin and destination, so this integrator will help to form a supply chain between these 2 points. And of course, this development of this marketplace, it will follow the regulations, upcoming regulations coming from different parts, especially from EU side. So that for example, the emissions are calculated in a way that is reliable, and also they are according to the regulations. Then I will tell more about these pilots. First, start with the pilots organized in Spain and Portugal. But the goal of this pilot is to establish multimodal and green digital corridor between Port of Sins and its hinterland, especially Madrid region, and enable horizontal vertical collaboration, where assets and networks are more efficiently used and CO2 emissions can be decreased, and also energy from fossil fuels will be significantly reduced by replacing it by using electricity. And this pilot is based on Joule platform, and it involves terminal operators, multimodal operators, logistics platforms, and authorities. And a particular business case is demonstrated between the Port of Sins and Madrid. And the pilot is led by Port of Sins, and it includes multiple logistics service provider, like rail operator and tripods, and the authorities. And the purpose is that they will create a rail corridor between Madrid and Port of Sins. And the purpose is also to integrate and harmonize closed independent logistics networks and providing open and shared low carbon and low emission services to shippers. By using this railway, which is not currently used so much. So then there is another pilot in Slovenia and Croatia. And this pilot is led by postal companies of these two countries. And the purpose is that currently all the postal traffic between Slovenia and Croatia goes through capital cities Ljubljana and Zagreb. But the majority of the shipments come from e-commerce and industrial companies, and they are located in northern eastern region of Slovenia. And they are going mainly to the end customers in Zagreb region. So they are currently going very long way via Ljubljana, even if they are, and to go several hundreds of kilometers, even if there is, if the distance between origin and destination might be less than 100 kilometers. So the aim of the pilot is to find alternative routes to shorten the routes and save times and especially the emissions. And in order to do that, they will make the solutions that enable cross-border track and trace functionality, which enables the sharing, integrate different systems between these logistics operators between these two countries, and to enable sharing data between local logistics companies. And this data would include, for example, shipment data, GPS data, and any kind of operational data. And this integration would enable, for example, real-time tracking of goods, and also, for example, the location of vehicles and movement of vehicles. And this will enable to optimize the processes of this logistics operation and enable more effective and streamlined logistics systems. And later, the purpose is to enlarge this system to also that also other logistics operators from neighboring countries can be part of this system, so that no longer the country borders doesn't make any kind of doesn't complicate the logistics operator. So the operators from different countries can cooperate with each other more easily. Then there is a pilot in Finland, and the purpose of this pilot is to improve the visibility in the supply chain by using ERP data of incoming cargoes content with their scheduling information. And this aim will be achieved by developing an artificial intelligence-based tool to create coordinated unloading plans for all incoming cargoes. And the goal of this AI tool is to optimize the use of workers, machines, and warehouse space to increase productivity and to reduce emissions. And the required data for incoming cargo is coming from, for example, from paper mills to Steveco, which is the terminal operator. And this data is combined with the terminal operating system data, vessel traffic system data, and track appointment system data. And emissions will be calculated based on type of machines, running hours, and also greenhouse gas, the principles how these greenhouse gas emissions are calculated. And it's shortly, by explaining it by one figure, so that the pilot is led by port operator Steveco. It is operating in the port of Hamina-Kotka, which is the biggest export port in Finland, concentrating on forestry products. For example, the forestry products coming from pulp factories, paper mills, or sawmills. They are loaded in these mills to trains, and they are going to the port. And the purpose is that when there is information about how the train is loaded, so the Steveco can optimize how to unload the train. Currently, they have calculated that the trains actually every time they are as long as usual, and also they are basically they're loaded in a similar way. But for example, the paper rolls, they are coming from different customers, and they needed to remove to different places inside the warehouse. And Steveco has made a calculation that there are, in the worst case, it takes almost 5 kilometers route of the forklifts together, and in the best case, it's under 2 kilometers. So based on this tool, they hope that in the future, almost all the dispatching work will take only this 2 kilometer of forklift drive. So it will save a considerable time of time and also energy. And then there is a pilot of Lithuania, but because the next presentation will concentrate on that, so I will skip that pilot. So thank you for your attention. And if you want to have more information about Admiral project, please register the Admiral project page so that you can get a newsletter, for example, and get more information about how the project is proceeding. Thank you.